Labor of love and loss, the sterile corridors of Metropolitan General Hospital echoed with Victoria's labored breathing as Grace Monroe wheeled her through the emergency entrance. Grace, 2 years younger but infinitely fiercer, had arrived at the penthouse within 20 minutes of Victoria's call, her dark eyes blazing with protective fury. "Room 314, announced the nurse, a kind woman named Janet who'd seen enough betrayed wives to recognize the signs. "Dr. Helena Webb is on her way." Grace squeezed Victoria's hand as another contraction peaked. "Breathe with me, Vic. In through your nose, out through your mouth. That's it. Have you tried calling him?" Victoria gasped between waves of pain. Grace's jaw tightened. She'd sent 12 text messages and called Marcus 15 times. Each attempt went straight to voicemail, his phone likely switched off to maintain the illusion of international business meetings. "He's not answering, but forget him. Right now it's about you and Oliver. They'd chosen the name together months ago, Oliver Marcus Sterling. Now Victoria wondered if her son would even carry his father's name. Dr. Helena Webb entered with calm authority, her silver hair pulled back in a practical bun. She'd delivered thousands of babies and had learned to read the stories written in her patients' faces. This one spoke of betrayal and heartbreak, alongside the usual anticipation of new life. "Let's see how we're progressing," Dr. Webb said gently, checking Victoria's cervix. 8 centimeters. Your son is eager to meet you." As if summoned by her words, Victoria's phone buzzed. A text from Marcus, sent via international messaging. "Just finished dinner meeting with Al Mansouri team. Exhausted but productive day. How are you feeling, beautiful? Missing you both." Grace read it over Victoria's shoulder, and her face darkened. The absolute audacity. It's probably sunset cocktail hour in paradise. Another message followed immediately. "Camilla says hello. She's been invaluable organizing all these meetings." "He's doubling down on the lie," Victoria whispered, fresh, tears mixing with sweat on her cheeks. "Even now he's lying." The contractions intensified, coming every 2 minutes. Oliver was descending, ready to enter a world where his father valued pleasure over presence. Victoria gripped the bed rails, her knuckles white with effort and rage. "I can see his head," Dr. Webb announced. "Victoria, on the next contraction, I need you to push with everything you have." For the next 47 minutes, Victoria poured all her pain, physical and emotional, into bringing her son safely into the world. With each push, she shed another piece of the naive woman who'd trusted blindly. With each breath, she grew stronger, more resolved. At 11:23 p.m., Oliver Sterling entered the world with a lusty cry that seemed to announce his mother's rebirth alongside his own. Dr. Webb placed the squirming, perfect baby on Victoria's chest, and in that instant, everything shifted. "Hello, my beautiful boy," Victoria whispered, studying Oliver's tiny features. He had Marcus's strong chin, but her green eyes. "I'm your mama, and I promise you, I will never let anyone hurt you the way your father hurt me." Grace captured the first moments on her phone, tears streaming down her face. But she was already multitasking, her other hand typing rapidly on her laptop. "I'm sending everything to Miranda Cross," Grace said, showing Victoria the screen. The flight records, Camilla's Instagram posts, his text messages claiming to be in Dubai while he's clearly in the Maldives. "Miranda doesn't just handle divorces. And she destroys cheating husbands." Victoria nodded, exhausted but determined. "Do it. All of it." As Victoria nursed Oliver for the first time, Grace stepped into the hallway to make the call that would change everything. Her voice was steel. When Miranda's assistant connected her, "This is Grace Monroe. I need to speak with Miranda Cross immediately. My sister just gave birth, and her husband, Marcus Blackwood of Sterling Dynamics, is currently in the Maldives with his assistant while claiming to be in Dubai on business. We have documented proof of his affair and his lies." And my sister wants to file for divorce before he even knows she's aware of his betrayal. The response was swift and decisive. Miranda Cross didn't just practice law, she waged war. And Marcus Blackwood had just declared war on the wrong woman. Part 3. Paradise Lost. The infinity pool at the Sonavajani resort seemed to melt into the Indian Ocean, creating an illusion of endless blue stretching to the horizon. Marcus Blackwood floated on his back, a mojito balanced on his chest, while tropical fish swam beneath the glass floor of their overwater villa. Camilla Voss emerged from the villa wearing a barely-there bikini that had cost more than most people's monthly rent. Her blonde hair caught the Maldivian sun like spun gold, and her smile was predatory in its perfection. Still worrying about wifey, she asked, slipping into the water beside him with practiced grace. Marcus sighed, checking his phone for the third time in an hour. I sent her a message hours ago. Usually she responds immediately. Camilla rolled her eyes, a calculated display of frustration. Marcus, darling, she's probably napping. Pregnant women sleep constantly. Besides, isn't this exactly what you needed? Time away from all that domestic heaviness? She'd been planting these seeds for months, the suggestion that Victoria had become boring, demanding, focused only on the baby instead of Marcus's needs. Camilla had positioned herself as the exciting alternative, the woman who understood his ambition and matched his drive. What Marcus didn't notice was the man with the telephoto lens hidden among the palm trees 50 meters away. Detective Rico Santos had been photographing their romantic getaway for the past 2 days, commissioned by Miranda Cross to document evidence of the affair. Rico was ex-military, patient as death, and had captured enough compromising images to sink a battleship. You're right, Marcus said, pulling Camilla closer. This is exactly what I needed. You understand me in ways Victoria never could. Camilla's smile sharpened. This was the opening she'd been waiting for. Marcus, I've been thinking, what if this wasn't just a vacation? What if it was the beginning of something permanent? What do you mean? I mean, what if you stopped pretending to be happy in that marriage? You've outgrown her, Marcus. She's holding you back from your full potential. Sterling Dynamics could go global with the right partner by your side, someone who speaks your language. Marcus felt a thrill of possibility mixed with guilt. The guilt was getting easier to ignore each day. Camilla, I can't just abandon my family. Why not? Men do it every day. You'd provide financially, of course, but emotionally, intellectually, you deserve someone who challenges you. She traced patterns on his chest with her finger. Someone who makes you feel alive. 300 miles away in Rome, Detective Santos uploaded his latest batch of photos to an encrypted server. Marcus and Camilla kissing in the pool. Marcus feeding her champagne and caviar on the beach. The two of them dancing on the villa's deck under the stars while Victoria labored to bring their son into the world. But Rico had captured something else, something that would prove even more damaging. Through the villa's windows, he'd photographed Marcus's laptop screen, showing Sterling Dynamics financial records. Marcus had been transferring company funds to shell accounts in the Cayman Islands, preparing for what looked like either massive tax evasion or embezzlement. Stupid rich boys, Rico muttered, reviewing the images. Always leave their computers open when they think they're safe. Back at the villa, Marcus was warming to Camilla's vision of their future. The prenup with Victoria is ironclad, he said. She'd get the minimum required by law, but nothing more. We could start fresh, build something incredible together. Camilla's heart raced with triumph. We could get married right here in the Maldives. Imagine the photos, us exchanging vows at sunset over the ocean. It would be the wedding of the century. What about Victoria? The baby? Marcus. Camilla's voice turned cold, calculating. She'll survive. Women always do. But you You have one life, one chance at true happiness. Don't waste it on obligation when you could have passion. As they planned their hypothetical future, Marcus's phone buzzed with another message from Grace. This one was different, not asking where he was, but simply stating, Victoria had the baby. A boy, 8 labies, 3 Oz. Oliver Sterling, mother and child are healthy. Marcus stared at the message, a cold fist of reality closing around his heart. His son had been born. He'd missed it entirely. What is it? Camilla asked, noting his expression. The baby came. I have a son. For a moment, the weight of what he'd done crashed over him. He'd missed the birth of his first child for a romantic vacation with his assistant. Camilla quickly moved to contain the damage. That's wonderful news, darling. See? Everything worked out perfectly. Victoria was fine without you there. Now you can go back, handle the logistics, and then we can make our real plans. But as Marcus looked out over the perfect blue waters of his paradise, he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just lost something irreplaceable. He'd gained a son and destroyed his marriage in the same moment, and for the first time since arriving in the Maldives, the paradise felt like a prison. Part 4. The Reckoning Returns. Marcus Blackwood's key turned in the penthouse lock at 6:47 a.m. on a grey Tuesday morning. He'd flown through the night from the Maldives via Dubai to maintain his cover story, his skin still bearing a suspicious tan that he'd tried to downplay with concealer. The apartment felt different, colder, more sterile than usual. Victoria, he called softly, not wanting to wake the baby. I'm home. Silence greeted him. He found them in the nursery, Victoria sitting in the rocking chair, feeding Oliver, who was indeed perfect with his dark hair and serious expression. Grace stood beside them like a guardian angel, her arms crossed and her face unreadable. There he is, Grace said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, the world's most dedicated businessman. How was Dubai, Marcus? Something in her tone made his stomach clench, but he pushed forward with his practiced explanation. Exhausting but successful. The Al Mansouri deal is signed. I'm so sorry I missed. Don't! Victoria's voice was quiet, but sharp as a blade. She didn't look up from Oliver. Please don't lie anymore. I can't take any more lies. Marcus's mouth went dry. Victoria, what are you talking about? I know the timing was terrible, but the deal... There was no deal. Victoria finally met his eyes, and what he saw there terrified him. Not anger, something worse. Complete indifference. There was no Dubai, Marcus. There was no Al Mansouri group meeting. There was just you and Camilla Voss in an overwater villa in the Maldives while I gave birth to our son alone. The world tilted beneath Marcus's feet. How could you possibly... Grace pulled out her phone, swiping through a folder labeled Evidence. Flight records showing your jet's actual destination. Camilla's Instagram posts geotagged to Soneva Jani Resort. Credit card records showing charges to Maldivian restaurants and... Sparse. Should I continue? Marcus's mind raced, looking for an exit, an explanation, anything. Victoria, please, let me explain. The trip just got complicated and... Stop! Victoria stood, still holding Oliver, who slept peacefully against her shoulder. Stop lying to my face. Stop insulting my intelligence. And definitely stop pretending you care about this family when you chose to miss your son's birth for a vacation with your mistress. A thick manila envelope sat on the changing table. Victoria nodded toward it. Those are divorce papers, Marcus. They filed yesterday morning while you were sipping champagne in paradise. Miranda Cross is my attorney. The name hit Marcus like a physical blow. Miranda Cross was legendary, a legal assassin who destroyed more unfaithful husbands than a biblical plague. Victoria, please, we can work this out. Think about Oliver. Think about our family. I am thinking about Oliver. Victoria's voice grew stronger with each word. "I'm thinking about raising him to respect women, to honor his commitments, to be a man of integrity, none of which he'll learn from you. To pack your essentials, everything else will be inventoried by the court. You can't just kick me out of my own home." "Actually, I can." Victoria's smile was cold as winter. "See, while you were planning your future with Camilla, Miranda's team discovered some interesting financial irregularities. Those Cayman Islands accounts you thought were so clever, the funds you've been siphoning from Sterling Dynamics, that's embezzlement, Marcus. Federal crime." The color drained from Marcus's face. "You're bluffing!" Miranda Cross materialized in the doorway as if summoned, her silver hair pulled back severely and her navy suit immaculate. She was 62 years old and had the predatory elegance of a shark. "Mr. Blackwood, I've been looking forward to meeting you. Miranda." Victoria shifted Oliver to her other arm. "This is my soon-to-be ex-husband. Marcus, meet the woman who's going to take you apart piece by piece." Miranda opened her briefcase with surgical precision. "Mr. Blackwood, my investigators have uncovered quite an interesting pattern. $7 million transferred to offshore accounts over the past 18 months. Money that belongs to Sterling Dynamics Research and Development Fund. Money that you've been using to finance your extracurricular activities." Marcus felt the walls closing in. Those were legitimate business expenses. A $50,000 weekend in Monaco, a $75,000 necklace for Ms. Voss, private jets to romantic destinations while claiming tax deductions for business travel. Miranda's smile was razor sharp. "The FBI's financial crimes division finds these business expenses quite fascinating. What do you want?" Marcus whispered. "Full custody of Oliver for Victoria, with supervised visitation only after you complete court-ordered therapy. The penthouse, which was purchased with embezzled funds, remains with Victoria. Half of all legitimate assets, plus damages for adultery and fraud. And Mr. Blackwood?" Miranda's eyes glittered with malicious joy. "I want you to understand that this is just the beginning. By the time I'm finished with you, you'll be lucky to afford a studio apartment in Queens." As if on cue, Marcus's phone rang. Camilla's name flashed on the screen. Victoria glanced at it and laughed. Actually laughed. "Answer it," she said. "Tell her how her paradise vacation just cost you everything." Marcus stared at the phone until it stopped ringing. When he looked up, Oliver was watching him with solemn green eyes that were unmistakably his mother's. His son, the child he'd abandoned for a fantasy that was already crumbling. "Victoria, please." "Goodbye, Marcus." She walked past him toward the door, Grace flanking her like a bodyguard. "Your hour starts now." As the door closed behind them, Marcus Blackwood stood alone in the ruins of his perfect life, finally understanding the true price of paradise. Part 5. New Beginnings. 2 years later, Victoria Sterling, she'd legally reclaimed her maiden name, pushed Oliver's stroller through Riverside Park on a crisp October morning. At 2 years old, Oliver was a bundle of energy, with his mother's bright intelligence and determination, thankfully showing no signs of his father's narcissistic tendencies. The divorce had been devastating, but liberating. Marcus had lost everything. His company, his freedom, 18 months in minimum security for embezzlement, and his reputation. Camilla had disappeared the moment his assets were frozen, moving on to her next wealthy target with remarkable speed. Victoria had used her settlement money to start her own consulting firm, helping women navigate high-stakes divorces. Miranda Cross had become both mentor and friend, teaching Victoria that strength and intelligence were far more valuable than a husband's approval. "Mama, swing!" Oliver pointed excitedly toward the playground equipment. "In a minute, sweetheart." Victoria was reading emails on her phone when Oliver broke free from his stroller and ran toward the swings. She hurried after him, not noticing the man pushing his own daughter on the swing next to theirs. "Careful there, buddy," the stranger said, as Oliver climbed enthusiastically onto the swing seat. "Want me to give you a push?" Victoria looked up to thank him and felt her breath catch. He was handsome in an understated way, warm brown eyes, laugh lines that suggested he smiled often, and the easy confidence of someone comfortable in his own skin. His daughter, maybe 4 years old, had the same kind eyes and was chattering happily about the ducks in the pond. "I'm sorry, I hope he's not bothering you," Victoria said, stepping closer. "Not at all. I'm Thomas Reed, and this tornado is my daughter Emma. We're here every Saturday morning. It's our tradition." Victoria Sterling. "And this is Oliver." She began pushing Oliver's swing, matching Thomas's gentle rhythm. "Are you new to the neighborhood?" "About 6 months now. Moved here after my divorce was finalized." He said it matter-of-factly, without the bitterness Victoria had grown accustomed to hearing from other divorced parents. "Single dad life takes some getting used to, but we're figuring it out." Emma jumped off her swing and ran to Oliver's. "Want to see the ducks? I bring crackers." Within minutes, their children were fast friends, racing toward the pond with the boundless energy only toddlers possessed. Victoria and Thomas followed at a more sedate pace, both keeping watchful eyes on their offspring. "So what's your story?" Thomas asked. "If you don't mind me asking, the single-parent thing isn't usually planned." Victoria found herself opening up in a way she hadn't with anyone outside her family. There was something about Thomas that invited honesty. Maybe it was the way he listened without judgment, or how he nodded knowingly when she mentioned the betrayal and lies. "My ex-husband had an affair with his assistant. I found out while I was in labor with Oliver. He missed his son's birth for a romantic vacation in the Maldives." She expected the usual expressions of shock and pity, but Thomas just shook his head. "What a fool. I mean, I know it's not my place to judge, but missing your child's birth for another woman? That's not just betrayal. That's stupidity on a cosmic level." Victoria laughed, surprised by how good it felt. "What about you? What's your story?"